Alright, this is part 7B. Some more of the rust weathering. We did a little bit of the make production oils and rust effects. Now what we're going to do is a little more of that, and also with the life color paints, acrylic paints, doing some staining on the sides and some streaking, just to show you that it can be done with acrylics also. And we'll do some dry brushing with the dark rust effect. So I guess we'll get to that, and then part 8 will be the dusting. So to all my friends at the Scratchmod Arms, let's get to work, guys. Let's rust some models. Alright, now that we got a couple of layers of that rust on using the oil paints, what we're going to do is take some acrylic paints. I'm using the life color paints. You can use Vallejo paints or whatever other acrylic paints you'd like, you know, in these two rust colors. Basically what we're going to do is some fine painting. I've already mixed up both of those, a couple of drops of each. And what we're going to do is add some of that light rust for the freshly rusted up areas. We'll work right here. What you want to do is place it around the darker rust at the green paint area, just to replicate the fresh rust. I go with the acrylics opposed to using the oils or the rust effects. That way when I do the staining and the streaking with the oils, I won't remove any of this. Thin this down a little bit with water to make it easier. What you want to do is kind of get some staining in there. You don't have to do every spot. Maybe hit the bottoms of the rusted areas. And this paint dries quick, so I can go over it almost right away. This is just an extra step I take to try and get that realism. This way, once this dries, I can take the rust effects and instantly start with the streaking and staining. Like with the rust layering, the rust weathering layering, it's all in layers. It's a bit time consuming, but to get the best effect, it's worth it. It's probably going to be hard to see in the video, so I will again take some still pictures and add that to the video. That way you see exactly what I'm doing. Like I said, you don't have to do every single spot. Just an extra step to add to the rust effect. We'll do a little bit here. On the white areas you'll see it more. Just like on the real thing, there'll be lots of bright rust staining. You take some water and you can thin that out. because we used the hairspray chipping technique opposed to using the sponge. You do have that sharp break there. If you were painting it on with a sponge, it wouldn't work as well. But here you have actual chips, an area for that light rust to collect into it just like the real thing. Still trying to get used to talking while doing this. I'm used to just grabbing a brush and going at it, not having to explain what I'm doing. You can water down some of that bright color rust and use it like a wash. Say right in here where some of that bright rust, fresh rust would accumulate. Probably tired of hearing me say this, but it's all in the layering. I wish it was as easy as simply applying some rust color paint on there, or pigments, and being done with it. I mean, that works, but I'm not too happy with that anymore. When I first started, I was happy with that look, although for me personally I didn't find it very realistic, and that's when my quest to try and obtain the perfect rust finish started about 8 years ago, and I'm still working on it. Like I said, we're going to go back once that's dry, and we'll use some of the rust effects on that. We'll start with the light rust effects from MIG Productions. Okay, that's pretty much dry. Basically, you want to do your rust streaks. Let's find a couple right here. Apply some of that bright color where you just went over it with the acrylic. I'll blend it in. That'll stain it. Pull it down. See, by going with the acrylics, these rust effects won't remove anything, won't harm what you just did. So you let that dry a little bit, and you take a damp brush with spirits, and you can just pull that down some more, removing a little that excess. You will get some very bright streaks, large streaks, which is normal. You can do the darker rust effects first, or you can use oil paints instead of the rust effect, or you can do the dark. You can go either way, light first, dark first. I like to go with the light first, and then what I'll do is with a small brush, I'll take some of the standard rust effects, and then I'll just simply hit it right in the middle of those light ones. And I'm blending that in. The standard rust effects will replicate the older streaks. As the streaks age, they get darker as it accumulates. And of course, newer rust will leave the brighter streaks. Now in some areas you don't have to go with the light. You can go and hit it with the dark, because at some point in time you probably won't get any more of that very bright streaking, and only the dark will remain. And there you have it, basic streaking. This staining, you basically just want to take the light colored effects or oils and just apply it around. That's it. Pretty simple. Just takes time. Do a little bit at a time. Work small areas. Let it dry, go on to something else. Not much to it. Okay, I've gone ahead and added all the rust staining, rust streaks. And what I'm going to do now is give some of the areas a dry brushing with some dark rust from Life Color. Basically what I want to do is hit all the high points, the edges, the running gear and whatnot. That would be old rust, so it's going to be dark. And just to cover some of that lighter rust I had put on with the staining. Basically working the opposite as a wash, a pin wash. I want to be doing something different. I'm going to add a wash with some dust colors.